Hey everyone, Mike Burke here with Inside Real Estate Photography, and in this video we're going to chat with Frank Zrinsky, owner of Motion City Media here in New Jersey, and we're going to get some insight from him on the real estate photography industry and how he grew his business from just himself to now a large team of photographers covering a wide area and serving thousands of agents. Alright, well, hello everyone. Let me introduce Frank Zrinsky, owner of Motion City Media, a well-established real estate photography company here in New Jersey, and also one of the best human beings in the entire world. So, yeah, so just some background for everybody. When I was sort of getting things going, I wasn't really full-time with real estate photography. I hooked up with Frank, and he needed some extra help at the time, so he took me on, and that was kind of what was able to make me go from part-time to full-time. It was just Frank, and he had another guy and me at the time. And now Frank's company has grown quite a bit since then. You know, mine as well, but I'm still a one-man show, which I kind of prefer to be, I think. But yeah, how many people you got working for you now, Frank?
Mike, it's kind of wild. One, thank you for having me on. This is incredible. So much valuable content on your channel. Amazing stuff. We share it with all of our photographers because they all learn from what you have to share, so thank you. Also, quite the incredible human being yourself, so we align perfectly together. Right now, we have, from 2008 until 2015, it was just me, and now we have 4 full-time employees, 1 part-time employee, and we work with 18 photographers across the state.
Yeah, so you can see how things have grown. Yeah, that's awesome. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the evolution of your business and, you know, how you kind of got from being just you to where you are today?
It's really all about not just like respecting your backstory, but constantly learning and recognizing patterns and being hyper aware of the industry you work in. Since we work in the real estate photography industry, we're only serving one particular client, and that client, you know, they are all small businesses themselves. So be hyper aware of like who your client base is and what their needs are. The real estate community is incredible, but they usually have tight time schedules, high demanding sellers, so you really want to work with them as part of their brand and align together with all of your agents. So I had a strong real estate background. I love real estate. I was a realtor myself. So I learned the ins and outs of the real estate industry. So that's one big thing to recommend to anybody looking to get into the real estate photography industry. It can't hurt to get really educated about the industry you're going to go into. So even if you want to get your real estate license yourself and go into referral, in most states it's a relatively simple process, and you just have to maintain some licensing fees. When I was a realtor is also when I met your wife, which is how we ultimately got connected because we both worked in real estate. The company we worked with, it was so unique. The biggest separator was they treated every listing and every client as peers, and that is the game changer. They did not cherry pick. If a $40,000 house or a $2 million house got professional photography and marketing, they did floor plans, photography, virtual tours on every single listing, no matter if they were going to make a $500 profit or a $5,000 profit or a $50,000 profit. So when the market turned, that company in this geographic area did not move forward. So I saw an ultimate opportunity to start my own real estate photography company, because I'm like, whoa, like there's so many photos on the internet with Razor cameras on your cell phone, iPod touches. I'm like, this is somebody's biggest investment of their life. Like, what are they doing marketing their property with an iPhone camera? Or at that point, iPhones didn't even exist. It was truly cell phone cameras. So I felt that it wasn't getting the sellers the most for their home for value. And at the same time, the realtors were not able to establish their brand because everything looked inconsistent. So in 2008, we started Motion City Media. For the first about 7.5 years, I just worked every second, hustled, loved every moment of it. My day started at 8 a.m. I finished shooting by 7 p.m. I edited it until 2 a.m., slept for 5 hours, and repeated 6.5 days a week. And that's really how we got going. And believe it or not, like the company actually evolved through the community. We became really good friends in town. We met so many people through one of our favorite coffee shops, Cafe Volan. That's how we met our first real estate photographer, Drew, who just brought us to another level. And then Mike, you came on shortly after Drew. And then it all just really just took on a life of itself. It's been all organic growth, minimal marketing. We always put our clients and our team ahead of profits. And I feel that is like a big cornerstone of Motion City Media. It's like we make less money as a company, and that's totally okay. Because if we're living a good life, everybody in our circle should be living a good life as well. And then all of a sudden you attract the best talent, you attract the best realtors, and it all happens organically.
Yeah, that's something I was definitely going to mention. You always said to me, like, you know, the photography is like almost secondary. Like the most important thing is like treating your clients like gold, and, you know, being, you know, nice and being accommodating, and, you know, the photography thing can be learned, but, you know, the most important thing is, you know, how you treat your clients. And that's something that I've taken from working with you. And I appreciate that. You know, that's such a good philosophy. And, you know, like everyone should know that, but, you know, it's not quite so, you know, like I feel like, you know, in this industry, you know, everyone's hung up on, you know, how awesome my photos are. And, you know, if I have awesome photos, then, you know, my business is going to take off. But, you know, the truth of the matter is, you know, yeah, your relationship with your clients is more important than that, because that's how word travels about you, that, you know, you're awesome. You know, I think kind of what you're saying, like how Motion City Media has grown so much over the years, because of all that. And I'm representing my Motion City Media shirt today.
Branding, logo, it's very important. That's kind of how people remember you. You know, consistent colors, fonts, branding, feel, and one really big point you brought up about like recognition of top quality photos. It's very important. Of course, like we all should be very proud of what we do. It's a learned skill. Most of the photographers we work with, they never took a real estate photo in their lives, right? Or they were just starting out. Like it's something that you can really hone your skills on, practice, educate yourselves. The biggest thing, like you said, Mike, is treating your clients like gold, because the reality is clients aren't necessarily loyal to you, they're loyal to the service you provide, right? So that service is everything. It's you, it's your brand, it's the photos you deliver, it's your timeline. So people become loyal to services, not necessarily just people or your company. So they get hooked on your service, and what happens is you create a sales force in the field. Like our realtors, like, you know, we don't throw money back and forth, but no referral fees. Like they also want to see their fellow realtors succeed, just like our mindset. We want our realtors to succeed before we do. So when they see that we're always putting them first, like they go to the real estate office, and in their meetings they talk about who they love and who they're having great experiences with. And then all of a sudden, like our phones ring simply because of word of mouth from another agent speaking about their experience with us. And that's not me, that's our team, right? That's the culture that we set up, and that's our team that represents my company as if it's all of our company in the field. And that's truly what it's all about. We never have to even double think for a second about like, oh, I wonder how this interaction is going. Like clients call and rave about our team all the time, and that's really the culture you want to create when you're starting out. And start slow but smart, because when you get too popular too quick, if you can't meet the demand, you don't have that second opportunity to attempt to earn them back again. So be hyper aware of, you know, when you start hitting critical mass of about 30, 35 shoots a week, already have somebody on your bench ready to go, train, they've already mirrored you, and the most important thing, they need to be an extension of your personality. A lot of people miss that. Like if you're cool, calm, and chill, and you get somebody aggressive that's all about like just wanting recognition for photos, the photos might be amazing, but they're probably not going to be requested the second or third time from that particular agent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What do you think are your biggest challenges as far as this business goes?
So when you're a growing company, the biggest challenge that I feel that any real estate photographer runs into is going from you to us. So when you are a sole producer, one person, somebody who's only seen your face for 6 to 7 years, that is the biggest challenge. So that once you get over that challenge, and that challenge we just spoke about a few moments ago, which is aligning with somebody that's very similar to you, and something else that really a lot of people miss, is make sure when you're hiring somebody new, especially your first new photographer, show up and be part of all those initial shoots. Let it be a very clean, smooth, like togetherness. Be like, hey, I'm working with Drew now, or hey, I'm working with Mike now. We've got very similar gear, the same standards. I can't wait for you to see their work. Then all of a sudden, 3 months goes down the road and Mike and Drew, or whoever you align with, are shooting better than you. Then all of a sudden they love the guys that you're working with more than you, right? Because now they don't have to rush and be on this crazy tight schedule. So you always want to never use the word change. You want to explain like, hey, this is the growth and this is how it's going to benefit you. So everything I feel is education and setting expectations. So that is the one big challenge, is getting from being one photographer to having, say, a team of 3 or 4 photographers. In regards to challenges with real estate, again, educate yourself on the specific industry you're working in. And remember, you have 2 clients. You have the realtor who's your client, and then the seller who's the realtor's client. So if a realtor expresses concerns about photos and you might think that they're nitpicking, they're not. Remember, they also have their seller that's reviewing and telling them like, hey, I'm hiring you, I'm paying you a 5, 6, 7% commission. I don't like this one angle from this one room. What we say as Motion City Media, hey, I completely understand. Let's get somebody out there at no charge and get that angle for you again, or get it in a way that aligns better with what your seller's expectations were. So you have 2 clients and one of them you will never hear from. So the other big challenge that we run into is timelines. There's often very tight timelines. So a realtor might call you on a Wednesday night, you might be shooting it on Thursday, and it goes live on the multiple listing service that hosts all the real estate photos and listings on Friday. So you might have to have everything within a 24 to 36 hour time frame. One of my mentors, Joe, the one thing he drilled into me about 3.5 years ago when we were starting the expansion was have a system and a process for everything. When you have a true system and a process for everything, it leads to success, and then you set all the expectations with your clients. You say, hey, photos take 24 hours, drone edits take 36 hours, and a video walkthrough takes 72 hours to edit. Then when they're with their client with the paperwork, they know to build 96 hours into the paperwork. So this way, you're meeting their expectations, you're making your agent look really good, and the best part is now the agent looks awesome to their seller, and it gets your agent more referral business. And guess what? The busier your agent gets, the more photo shoots you get. So the biggest thing, make your agents successful before you. When your agents are successful, you're gonna grow their business, and then they're gonna concurrently grow your business.
Totally. Setting expectations is key. That's something I've learned over the years myself. But yeah, because then you don't have people wondering, oh, when's this happening? What's this? You know, if they know and you're consistent. Consistency, I think, that's another thing I want to talk about. Consistency, I think, is paramount. Like, you know, and that's a tough thing too, I think, with having a team of multiple photographers and getting them to kind of match your mold. You know, everyone's going to be slightly different, you know, in how they shoot, obviously. But, you know, maintaining a consistent product, you know, that's challenging with multiple people. That's why I remain a one-man show, because I'm like, you know, that's my issue. Like, I'm like control freak. I like to control what I'm doing, but, you know, that's something that, you know, you have to let go of, obviously, to grow. By the way, like, Frank and I are still doing work together. I still shoot with Motion City Media as well. We've been working together in some capacity for years now.
Just to touch on what you just said, it's all about how we grow and support each other. It's truly everything. We're always going to be working with each other via different capacities as we grow, and that's truly what it's all about. We never want to hold anybody back. It's all about, hey, how do we work with each other at the next level that we're both going to? So that's what makes everything work. It's always being proud of everybody's success and their achievements, not trying to hold anybody back.
Yeah, so I have my solo venture, you know, I have a bunch of my own clients, whatever, and, you know, I come over and I shoot with you guys too, and, you know, it's great being a part of the team, you know, and working with other people, and just having a network of other photographers too. You know, when my son was born, for instance, and I needed time off, Frank was cool enough to lend me some photographers to cover, you know, some of my clients' shoots that need to be done, like, when I couldn't do it. Like, that's something you have to think about if you're you know, a one-person show. how am I going to, if I get sick or if something happens, like, how am I going to, cover my client's needs in that scenario? So
and just to really just reinforce it, it's all about how it connects together, right? The reason why we all work so well with each other is because we don't put money ahead of working with each other, right? So Mike was gracious enough to connect us with one of his best friends, Bobby Bates, and Bobby Bates is our lead headshot photographer here. Again, somebody that makes us look awesome every day, makes our clients smile. Whenever there's like a headshot session going on here, people are just like, they're smiling, they're laughing, they're having fun. So it's one of those things where it's like, we work with each other so well for many reasons, but it's mostly because we just care about each other. Like, we want each other to succeed. And so that's truly the one thing that I would love for us all just to always put is our clients and our team ahead of everything else. Like, even if you want to be super rich one day, right? You know what? It doesn't matter. Like, you keep doing the right things, then if you have an interest in like financial wealth, then of course that's going to come together as well. But if you put your team ahead of everything else and your clients, all that stuff's just going to happen naturally.
How about like, pricing your services? I mean, I don't want you to go into specifics about what you charge, but I'm just saying, like, any advice on how you came up with your pricing and how you structure your pricing? A lot of people have questions about that. I see, in the real estate photography, people that are just starting out, or even maybe people that are even more established.
So with pricing, two things Mike mentioned a little bit ago about having a network. Your network is everything, right? So we also align with an awesome real estate photography company. We call them the Motion City Media of the Southwest, Twist Tours. We were connected by somebody else incredible in our life, Paul. Similar culture, similar mindset. So they're thousands of miles away from Motion City Media, but we collaborate. We're in totally different territories, and it's like, oh, hey, I made this mistake a year ago, now you don't need to make the same mistake. Or here's what we ran into in Austin, how does this affect the Jersey Shore? So it started off with one connection like that. Now we work with several real estate photography companies across the country where we just all mentor and coach each other and have brainstorming sessions. So that's a really good way to also figure out your pricing. Like, hey, what works for you? What doesn't work for you? So collaborate, right? Like, get out there, meet your peers. All the smart peers out there, they're not competitors, they're industry educators, right? So align with them. The ones that are just looking to figure out your company's secrets, those are not the ones that are gonna have a similar mindset as you. The real true thing that I feel that almost, and myself included, when I started out, do not undervalue yourself at launch. Even if your work is not as perfect as it needs to be, you will get there and you will grow with your clients. So, if you're thinking about like only making a $20 profit on a shoot and you're like, oh, that means I can make a healthy living every year, you really need to set yourself up for growth. Even if growth means maxing out at one person or wanting to expand your brand, make sure a healthy living for the next 30 years can happen based on that, because you're developing your own career. So if you set your pricing too low at the onset, it is incredibly hard to get over that, because people really expect that price. Even though your quality might really increase, they're still like, oh, hey, what? I'm not your boy? Like, what are you talking about? My pricing is going to go up. And we still have some awesome clients that we have on a much lower billing. And you know what? That's okay, because you also have to respect that one client might have gotten you 40 other clients that are at a different pay rate. So never, ever, ever forget about the people that helped you get where you're going. That is a real key. You can't just be like, oh, blanket 10% increase across the board, inflation. It's not how real life works. And you know what? Just like how you can get a really good pizza anywhere, you can get your car maintained anywhere, same thing for real estate photographers, right? Like, you don't want to lose your clients over like trying to raise your prices 5 or 10%, when what's better, keeping the same pricing at a healthy margin or not having any income from that client anymore because they switched. And then remember also, your realtors are your marketing team in the field, so then you might lose all of their referrals as well. So be very careful about price increases. That's why it's so important to have a fair price that accurately represents what your work is, but also what your work will be at the, a year or two down the road. Research your top 5 competitors, right? Not 2, not 3, top 5. Do 2 or 3 big box people, then 1 or 2 people that might be in the same shoes as you, as like 1 or 2 people businesses, and just do the research. See, are they basing it on square footage? Are they basing it on a number of photos? So see how their businesses are structured, and then also if most of your competitors in your area are basing it off square footage, you should be based off of square footage. And most of the competitors are number of photos. You should be based off number of photos, simply because when people are comparison shopping, they might see pricing like, hey, you know, why are you so much less or so much more? So you shouldn't have to like start off on the defense with explaining why your pricing is so different. Always be unique. Do not just set your price at a competitor's price. What unique value can you add? So if on average they're doing, say, 30 photos for $200, be like, okay, I can come around that price, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but what else could I do differently? Like, remember, you want your clients to succeed. How can you also invest in your agent's business? Now, I know Mike and myself, you know, we have a back-end hosting system. You might want to have like a single property website that you could offer them with like lead capture to help you get your buyers more leads. Something we've not implemented yet, but yard signs with text back. So this way, the more leads you can get your realtors, again, the more successful your agents are going to be. So with pricing, your local 5 competitors, and check national pricing as you grow, because you want to expand. Like if you're expanding 70 miles north, or possibly like us, like we have one real estate photographer, Sean, who's incredible, Sean Hood, in Fort Lauderdale, Florida area. He does our shoots because we have a couple clients that open up businesses in Florida. So if you're running a good company, the one pattern you're going to recognize is your agents are going to grow too. They're going to start expansion teams. Before you know it, you might be shooting in California, Florida, because they're going to be growing and you should be ready to grow with them. So ask them like, hey, what are your prices? Like, you know, what are your margins? And you know, you share that info because they're in different territories, so it'll never negatively affect your business. But you have all that knowledge from people that are doing exactly what you're doing in different territories.
Yeah, totally. You know, and that's good advice too about the undervaluing yourself in the beginning. You know, I think a lot of people go through that, like, I'm going to price myself lower than everybody else to get more business, and you're really just shooting yourself in the foot in the long run. I definitely did that with some clients in the beginning. You know, a lot of us are guilty of that, and like to this day, like 10 years later even, like I'm still trying to, you know, raise them, bump their prices up, you know. But like you said, they helped you get your start. So, and I totally appreciate that, and it's always great to show, you know, appreciation. You got to appreciate your clients, the people that took a chance on you in the beginning. You know, it's so important to show your appreciation for them, and I'm happy to, you know, give those people a discount, the people that stuck with me for years and years, you know, like.
What you mentioned there, it's so important, genuine gratitude. Like don't just say it, like be like, hey, like thank you, like we appreciate this, we're only growing because of you. And because of that, of course, like I'm not looking to raise your pricing on the photo sessions, but what you do want to do, they're growing, so maybe offer them other value. Whether that might be floor plans or 3D, like offer them other value that can help them make more money, and also how to educate them to get more listings. Like a lot of our agents, you know, they'll go to the listing table with like a property book of all of our photo sessions, showing the quality, and they show the seller, this is the marketing media company we're bringing in. Motion City is the best in the area, right? This is who we're going to be using. And then all of a sudden the seller's like, what? Like you're bringing like a high-end like production company to shoot my 1,400 square foot ranch? And then again, it's building more value, right? So that also does correspond with, you know, your base price might with those initial clients be low, but again, if you're showing them other ways to expand their business, whether that's again adding the Matterport 3D, different type of hosting, flyers, print ads, social media marketing. So you could also increase revenue, which I don't ever think that way, so it feels silly even talking this way. But if you want to increase revenue with those quote unquote legacy clients, offer them more value. You know, hey, we're going to make a YouTube video, we're going to do some, you know, motion graphic stuff, we're going to do walkthroughs. Like, so there's other ways that you can have more profit from that client other than bumping up their initial base price. So I think that just thinking really small to try to get an extra 10 or 15 bucks out of a shoot out of somebody, when there's so many more ways to add more value to your relationship than just trying to do a price increase on a base package.
Speaking of other stuff like that, other services, you know, we have video, 3D, like what services have you seen growing a lot recently? You know, I always mentioned about, you know, a big jump in video lately and things like that. So yeah, what have you been seeing, you know, in those regards?
I'll hit this from two angles, like what you're seeing change on the realtor end, and then what you're seeing change on the services photography requesting end. Be very aware of how like your industry is changing as well. 10 years ago, it was a lot more independent realtors, no teams, no big offices. Now a lot of agents have gotten way more tech savvy, and also they're building their business as a small business as well. So they're aligning with admins and directors of operations. So realtors that used to be 1 or 2 people or like a small team are now 3 or 4 people or 5 or 10 people. We have teams that work with us that have as much as 30 people on their team. So be prepared that realtors are also growing themselves. Like they're running their businesses as if they're small businesses with growth plans and strategic planning. So that's why it's also important. Relationships are everything. Your team's growing, make sure you get to know their director of operations, make sure you get to know their team leaders, make sure you invite them to any education sessions you might be hosting. Educate your clients on industry trends that are changing. The one thing in the industry that is, I feel, never going to change because of the way that these several multiple listing services work across the country, every listing will always lead in with photos. A single money photo is going to be the first thing that captures their eye, right? So the photography is always going to be something requested. What could happen, instead of people wanting 60 photos, they might want 30 photos, right? To leave more of a budget for auxiliary services, because they want more, sticky time on their listings. They want to keep that buyer engaged. So the 3D we did see a spike on, but we're seeing a much larger spike on video sessions, like true video walkthroughs, not YouTube ripped videos with the Ken Burns moving effect. That stuff's great if they're on a really tight budget and they're not looking to invest in that listing. You want to be able to offer that. But true video walkthroughs with style and a cinematic approach, we're seeing a much larger demand than expected. You saw some initial rumblings of that a few years ago, but the technology really didn't match it. You had a ton of blown out windows. It just didn't look good. So when people used to ask me for video 3 years ago, I often didn't recommend it because it didn't make the house look good. That was the main reason why. Like, I could have said, yes, I want your money, and then given them a video I would not have been proud of. It just, the gear, the editing, the way to capture on the new cameras, it just didn't exist then. Now, when you do a video walkthrough on properties, they look amazing when they're done right. So now it's going to capture more buyers, where previously the photos and the videos looked like 2 separate houses. And that was one of my main reasons for never previously recommending a video. It's like the photos look insane, high dynamic range, all this perfect editing, right? And then you look at the video and it's like, this is bouncy. I just saw the dolly track. Like, it's like, we're past that. So now with like gimbals and especially like what the new mirrorless cameras are doing, and really connecting with the video editor. If video is not your forte, but you can really learn how to get the clips, connecting with an incredible video editor is so important to tell that story that you captured creatively. So video is where we're seeing the biggest increase. 3D is a pretty big uptick right now, but I think that's more due towards like the current conditions that we're all navigating in the real estate world. But I feel that video is going to have the longevity to tie together with the photography. And then you want to really connect all of your media together. So like in a perfect world, if you're shooting a floor plan, a video, a photo session, you really want to have like a nice 60-second package that the realtors can use on social media, and also to capture more buyers, because almost everybody's looking to do like a sponsored video on Facebook or a sponsored video on Instagram because it's so inexpensive, right? For $5 or $10 you could reach a pretty decent audience. So you want to capture all this great video, but really to be successful you need to give them the tools on how to get your video out there for them.
Yeah, I agree. Like the video thing, I think I say it a lot on this channel, but I think it's going to be a huge part of what we do in the coming years. I think it's only going to shoot up from here even more. And as platforms like Zillow and things like that start to embrace it, all the agents are going to want it, because it's going to bring their listings up to another level. They already push listings that do the crappy phone walkthrough that they allow that you can do on Zillow, but I think it's a matter of them regulating it and people or agents not advertising themselves on their platform, using it and abusing it, kind of thing. But once they figure that out, I'm sure it's going to be a big thing.
I make the connection to electric cars, right? So the reason why I think one of the reasons why like the electric car industry is not taken off is because every car brand needs to have a different charger. So like the Tesla supercharger network might not work on the Chevy Volt or anything in that regard. So all these companies are coming out with their electric vehicles, but the charging is an issue. Same thing with real estate, right? So the photos, there's a system and a process where the photos will syndicate everywhere automatically. 300 different websites, they're all gonna look beautiful. They're gonna pop to Zillow and Realtor.com and every other site, right? Video does not have the same process. If you load the video in the multiple listing service, it might only make it to 4 sites, not 300 sites. So they're aligning and they are setting up standards to get video so it will go everywhere. So you're gonna see that, and again, and then once that happens where they figure out a system and a process and a standard for videos to syndicate the same way photos do, that's another time that you're gonna see a very sharp uptick in the video ordering getting significant. Like they're gonna put a budget aside to order video because now it's like, hey, now the video makes sense. Now my audience of 40 people is my same audience of thousands of people that can access to photos. So that will be the game changer in the industry in regards to video. Once it can get everywhere and syndicate everywhere, I think that's gonna completely change the industry.
Agreed. So where do you see Motion City Media in 5-10 years from now?
Great question. So everything that we do is putting our team, our employees first. So I will never grow faster than what we can support. That is the biggest thing. So we always believe in the slow, smart, consistent, organic growth because we can never let our service or our quality go down. We live by one mindset for that. The larger we get, the more we grow, the better our service needs to get. Most times in the industry, the bigger you get, the more you grow, your service goes down and they don't care because it's like, oh, hey, if I lose 10% of my clients, that's okay because I still get the other 90%. That's the opposite of how we think. You know, we pride ourselves in really caring genuinely about our agents and their success and their growth. And we want to keep growing with them. So as we grow and get into new territories or different areas to market, it's going to be the same thing that we do now. Slow, smart, consistent growth. When we get into a new area, we don't just like find a photographer. We make sure we align with 2 or 3 incredible photographers, right? Like their standards need to be our standards. One thing that we do differently, this is a little bit of like a Motion City Media secret, but that's okay to share that. We want incredibly happy photographers, right? So depending on the real estate photography company you work for, some do it like us, some do not. When our photographers are done shooting at the end of the day, they don't have to do any editing. Like we have a dedicated editing team for many reasons, consistent results, fast delivery, but most importantly, that gives them 5 hours back every night. So this way they're in the field for 10 hours, they get to spend that 5 hours at home doing whatever their why is, what they love, growing their own business, spending time with friends and family. So that's something that we will always do across the board. So again, it makes us less profitable, and that's okay because my perception and the way that I understand success, it's not wealth, it's happiness, right? Like I'm incredibly happy and I want to be surrounded by amazing, happy people, right? So that's where I feel rich, is like when I'm surrounded by happy people, following their why. And the biggest thing that like really like moves me is helping other small businesses grow. Like I love seeing everybody around us grow, and it's amazing because of the way that we work with each other. Every one of our photographers, because they're all independent contractors, it's all about growing their businesses out as well, right? So we have a very like loose non-compete, and I feel that's very important. As long as we're respecting relationships, not taking each other's clients or agents, when it doesn't connect to real estate, I want nothing. So when our photographers go to a photo shoot, they can give out their personal business card and a Motion City Media business card. All we want is the real estate photography business that we've developed and that we've grown, right? So if their daughter's getting married or there's going to be like a family event to capture or graduation, we take a 0% cut from our contractors for anything not related to real estate. We want them to grow out that side of their business for them as well. And it's all about respecting relationships, because even me and Mike, we have some crossover with agents. Totally okay. It's like, hey Frank, do you work with Laura from this agency? No, we don't. Go for it. They're all yours. It's all about communication and growing with each other. So as we grow, but I will say this, like the slow, smart, organic, consistent growth is our goal. But in business, when the word gets out, like you hit a belt curve where you might be going like this for the first few years, and all of a sudden it goes like that. So you have to stay ahead of it. So before you know it, like last week, we cover New Jersey, but we just got a call in New York. We've gotten calls in Pennsylvania. We've gotten calls in extreme South Jersey. So be prepared, recognize patterns, and if you're seeing demand in areas you don't usually serve, when you wow them, it's going to grow quicker than you expect. So have people on your bench, and same thing with your photography team. Set proper expectations. You might only be getting 2 or 3 shoots a week from us at the beginning, but you're going to grow your business within our business. The more you get requested, like Mike, you get requested all the time. Our core team members get requested constantly. So all of a sudden, you're growing your business within our business for the photography side through Motion City Media, and then whatever you shoot on the side, again, is being grown through your work with Motion City Media, even with us taking no cut from that whatsoever. So that is how it truly works, aligning with people that are always about the big overall mindset, which is clients first, let's have a lot of fun, let's be happy, let's be great to each other, and this is also business, let's be accountable, So it's truly about the growth together, and 5 or 10 years from now, like I could see us being in key markets across the country, if it makes sense and if it works with our business model. And again, we might have to adjust our business model for that, but for me, the main reason why I want to do that is not for growth and expansion, it's to give opportunity to other people around the state and around the country, because just about everybody we work with left their day jobs or their careers for a specific reason to be entrepreneurs and to grow, right? So that lets me kind of like fill my why, which is getting people to like other levels and growing their businesses. And at the same time, now they get to grow their business through real estate photography, which could lead to many other creative opportunities for revenue and growth as well. So I love that. Like my true passion is helping others grow. Like there's nothing I love more than like strategy, business planning, and setting up a system for success. That's everything to me. That's truly what I love.
Yeah, that's why I love you, man. You're an extraordinary human being, as everyone could probably tell by now.
Thank you, Mike. You know what? Thank my parents, dude. My mom is a school teacher. My dad's a social worker. It's just the genetics are in me, and I do not know any other way, right? So I'm very lucky to be able to have that and that opportunity. And my mom bought me my first camera, right? Like 10 years ago, I had $40 in my pocket. I'm sorry, 11 years ago, I had $40 in my pocket, and I was very lucky that my aunt gave me her 1997 Corolla with hand crank windows, right? So like it's all about everybody, like nobody succeeds alone. So we've all gotten to where we are through others, right? That's why it's so important. That connects to everything. Your photography team, your first clients, truly, nobody succeeds alone, and this is how we all succeed together.
It's awesome. Your philosophy is contagious and inspiring, and I really do think it's rubbed off on me and everyone else that you work with. So many people in business don't think that way, and it's all about whose head am I going to step on to get to the next level, and I need to get that money and become and yeah, like I'm sure everyone wants to do well financially. That's obviously important. We all have lives, we all have expenses, and that's all very important. I'm saying the important thing is not to be overly concerned with it, and just be concerned with how you're running your business, how you're treating your clients, and expanding and improving the quality of your product, and the money will follow. I think that's the way to go about it.
Everything is one word: longevity, right? Like, so you go get your car repaired down the road and you find out that they overcharge you by $1,000, right? So now that company pocketed an extra $1,000, but you're not going to give them your next 30 years of business and the next $300,000. So when you have this mindset, and whether this comes true or not, I feel you'll be more profitable in the long run, and be much more successful financially as well, and also being happy doing, because you didn't step on any toes to get there. I always put my pride aside. It has nothing to do with with pride. Like, you should be proud of what you do. But we work with, and we're very lucky to be able to have this even to say, we work with about 2,300 agents, and we started with one, right? So I know I could walk into a room with all 2,300 of my agents and not have to even worry about hiding in a corner, right? Like, the only thing, of course, some people are gonna be paying a little bit of a different price depending on when they came on board, how, you know, there might be a couple little small variables like in regards to pricing. I don't ever have to worry about a thing. You know, like, we're honest. When we messed up, we say we messed up, we explain what happened, and then we show them how we're gonna make it different in the future. It truly is everything. To never have to worry about, like, oh wow, you know, I bet they're not gonna catch that I slid an extra 50 bucks on there. Like, a lot of people think small like that. And then I've seen this countless times. Those companies that don't have that mindset like us, they might get wildly successful their first year or two, then all their clients start to dissipate, right? So that's why, like, you might see that short-term mega financial success, but when they don't have the culture, the service, the people to back it up, it all goes away. And then all of a sudden they crash, and we never want competitors to go under. It's not about that. We should all be looking out for each other, but that happens. And we've seen that consistently over 12 years of people shoot up, right? But if it's all about, like, oh, and by the way, to access the special pricing, there's gonna be a recurring charge of $50 a month, even if you never shoot with us that month. Like, it's all those gotchas. We don't believe in nickel and diming. We truly believe, like, hey, we made a mistake. You're not gonna see a $35 fee in your invoice, but what can we learn from this? Like, how can we help you get better prepared? You know, would a prepare sheet for your sellers help the homes be more ready? Ask questions. They might be like, you know what, Frank, that'd be great. I work 90 hours a week. I would love if you can guide me with how to get my listings better ready. So there's always solutions. So instead of just trying to nail somebody with a cancellation fee or a not ready fee, find out why it might not be ready, or find out why they're canceling a lot, because you often can come together and solve the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered a lot here, so I don't want to overwhelm everybody here, but
yeah, and there's a hurricane outside right now, so it's
yeah, we're in the midst of a tropical storm going on. I hear the wind blowing.
Yep.
Thanks so much for coming on, man, and sharing some of your insights into this business. I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate it.
Mike, you're so welcome, dude. Thank you for who you are, and it's exciting to see, like, the growth. Like, you offer true value on this channel, right? So I've even been sharing your channel with every photographer that works with us. They're all learning from it. Even somebody that's been with us for 7 years, right? Actually, that's a lie, because nobody's been with us for 7 years. But even people that have started out with us 3 or 4 years ago, check out Mike's new channel, right? There's so much value there. So your growth on the channel has been, like, wild, and that gets me excited to get the Motion City Media channel going, because we don't do much in the way of social media. We will, but this gets me excited to see your success with your channel, and all you're doing, you're providing awesome content and value. So thank you for that, because that actually helps support our business as well, because our entire team is learning from your education, from everything you've learned over the last several years that we've been working together.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, like I said, you know, probably wouldn't have started this channel, you know, if it wasn't for you. Like, this is like what I'm talking about, like you inspiring me to, like, you know, give back and try to help other people. Like, you know, I've always tried to be that way, but, you know, knowing you has definitely amplified that in my own personality. So, you know, thank you. And, you know, it's been awesome working with you over the years, and I hope we continue to do so for many more, and I'm looking forward to it, man.
You're welcome, and thank you. And I have to say, the same thing happens to me when I see you doing something like this. It inspires me even further, and then we just keep building on each other. And this is why it works. When you have that same goal and that same mindset and that same vision, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta start making content for my YouTube channel. That interview with Mike's business, and Mike just went so awesome. Now I want to do something like that elevates our brand. So we inspire each other, and this is how we grow together.
And by the way, I'll link to Motion City Media socials and stuff down in the description. So please show them some love, and yeah, keep an eye on what they're doing.
Thank you, Mike. We're entering a really interesting phase. Like, we've got a lot of big things in the work, which, if they're following us on social media, they're not going to see in a week or two. But by the end of the year, they're going to see a lot of big things happening over here. So we've got a lot of big stuff that's going to be in place soon. That's going to help us all grow and be even more of, like, that company that just looks at that big mindset and how we work together. So I can't wait for everybody to see where we're going. It's going to be pretty exciting.
All right, guys, so I hope you got some good tips and insight from my man Frank on running a successful real estate photography business. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.